Well, I know we're in a weird time right now, but what sort of creative projects have you guys been working on? I mean, we should explain that Russell is not crazy. I asked him to put on a foil hat, as we noticed his window behind him that's all taped up. It's like, is someone trying to get in? So, but actually, Russell is you've been doing a lot of airbrushing. What kind of airbrushing have you been doing?
Yeah, I'm painting some miniatures. Like I'm a huge nerd. I got boxes strewn about. So like D&D, Warhammer, all that nerd stuff. So that's been
Gotcha.
keeping me from like keeping the mind spiders off. Which is
Climbing
nice.
up in the bell tower on
Exactly.
right. Yeah,
That's me.
anything. So he's sniffing paint instead.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is that. It's been real nice. It's been real nice.
That's great. Well, you'll have to. Do you have a piece you can hold up and show us that you're really proud of, or
Nothing
is everything
complete.
mid work?
Let me see if I can grab something real quick.
All right. Well,
BRB.
we'll talk to Michelle for a second here and see what she has to say while you look for something. What have you been up to? I know you probably have been working, right? But have you done like creative stuff? I know I have to give you a shout. I know that I went and saw you at North Coast Rep, which is to give people a reference, is I would say it's a bigger theater in 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 scope and reputation and credibility than Scripps. I think of it that way. So I think of, that's it was kind of a step up there. They hire equity actors. We don't do that. And it's a little bit more of a prestigious theater, but I went and saw you in Blythe Spirit, directed by Rosanna Reynolds. And that was a fun show and you were great in it, but I know you did that. What else have you been up to? I know have you done other productions since then, or I don't remember where the timeline was if we shut down.
Yeah, I mean, Blind Spirit was a while ago.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly, I don't know.
It was. I know it was after Baskerville.
Yeah. And then after that, I did Pride and Prejudice at Signet, which sort of had a similar vibe and like throwing things on and playing multiple characters, which was fun. But currently just teaching right now. So I teach at Southwestern College, so I'm teaching acting on camera.
Fantastic.
Great, giving our current virtual world, which has been really nice. And just reading a lot and working on monologues so that when we're back up and running, I'm ready and prepared.
That's great. That's great. Did you find something, Russell? No. What about you, Robin? What have you been up to? I know you talked about the game's afoot.
Oh yeah, so I did that. I've done 2.5 shows before the current unpleasantness began. Which was a lot of fun. I don't know, this past year I've unfortunately been unemployed most of the time, but I've been using that to focus on. I've been doing some fine art, music composition I've gotten into. Oh, and I've been participating in Julia's Julia Zeddy's Sofa Shakespeare project. So I've submitted a few videos. I've been helping her edit that, and I've also written some music for that.
That's great. Yeah, and you and I worked on a show at Scripps after that, which was called Return Engagements, which is about four couples whose lives intersect, and it all takes place in a hotel room over various points of time, a hotel room in Canada. So where they sort of all have been renting the same room, unknown to each other, but there's a lot of, in and out. Like we see this room in different time periods and different couples in different stages in the relationships. We see a couple get together. We see one that's been together for a little bit and they break up. And then we see one that's very well established, an old married couple that's having issues as well. So yeah, it's an interesting play. And you were in that. And that was a lot of fun. I think that's the last time we worked together. You were at Scripps there. So yeah.
And that was, I didn't know you before Baskerville, but it was entirely on the strength of having worked with you. I know you offered me to come in and read for Return Engagements. I was like, yes, Carl's great. I want to go back and do that again. Yeah.
And we had a lot of contenders for Sherlock, but you had like a real energy that was really great. I mean, all of you did. It was just, to me, I have to tell you, the casting for Baskerville was a real no-brainer for me. The only variable was like Sherlock, just making sure I had a good, strong Sherlock, even though he's not the focus. He is the front man, but he's not the focus. So having you guys is like, once you guys did your bits, I was like, I knew who I was casting. So it was an easy choice.
That was
So,
a fun
which was great.
audition. We got to have groups of us in there too.
Yeah. You almost had to, because there was no other way to do it. I mean, yeah. And seeing people, it was funny to see people not bring it, you know, because you were like, you understand what this show is, you know, it's like, you've got to just be over the top crazy, you know. And I mean, you guys all did that. It was great. So, and then there was some more serious stuff that you had to know, that not only could you do the crazy stuff, but you also had to be able to plug into, say, like Beryl and and be able to plug into Sir Henry and so forth. Otherwise, you know, if you were just funny, it wasn't going to work. You had to be able to do both, which you guys obviously could, which was great. Yeah. So Russell, did you find anything?
I did. This is what with no theater, this is what's been keeping me sane. So stuff like that.
Wow.
That's
That's some detail. Hold that up so we can see it. Don't flash it. Oh, there we go.
Here's a new one. Yeah, there's another one. You'll notice they're all rats.
That's great.
That's such detailed work.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Russell. That is tight. Those are tight.
Thank you, dude.
It's tight.
Tight, dude. Yeah, that's it's a Frankenstein rat. So yeah, that's some real nerd stuff. So yeah, that's been keeping, you know, that's been keeping my mental health well, you know, because like usually I'm like trying to always work on a show.
Yeah.
And then I took some time off to try to audition for grad schools, and but you know, so it's been a while. But you know, I've been I've been watching a lot. You know, the National Theater streams a lot of stuff, so that's been that's been a good lifeline for me, you know.
That's great. That's great. And Robin, I know you may not be able to lay your hands on it like right now, but maybe after this, we can showcase some of your work as well, because Robin is a very talented. Oh, okay. Robin is a very talented artist. Like his drawings and sketches and so forth are just really impressive. I mean, like the detail. I'm just like. Now, is that what is that? Can you tell us what that is?
It's black and white charcoal.
That's pencil, basically, paper. Right?
Yeah, some paper, yeah.
Wow.
So yeah,
that is impressive. That is amazing. Who is that? Is that somebody in particular?
It's Christina Ricci. It's just a photo that I liked, and you know, as long as you're going to spend hours drawing a picture, you might as well put a pretty girl in it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That's great. What about you, Darcy? I know that right now you kind of took off and you're at your mother's right now in Arizona, but I know you and I worked on Return Engagements, and I think you worked on some other shows before things kind of shut down. And but what have you been up to just recently? Have you been doing anything creative or?
So I did Return Engagements with you, and a few more shows at Scripps, and then we did Italian American Reconciliation.
Yes.
And then I was stage managing Love Song, which was supposed to be the next show that opened.
Right. Yeah.
We went into tech and lockdown.
Oop. Yep. Oop. They are talking of trying to bring it back, trying to do it because Kevin had said he wants to do it. Yeah. Italian American was fun because again, was another set piece that was like, they've never done this before. I'm doing this. So we had a balcony. I built a balcony for Italian American. So she was about, what would you say, 10 feet in the air, or at least 8 feet on a balcony out of a window?
The top of the balcony, like I could just reach it. So it was about 8 feet up.
Yep.
And then she was standing on it.
Yeah. It was a wrought iron balcony built. It was like built like solid so she could stand on it, and she climbed out her window and did this whole scene. Yeah. Stage right or stage left. So yeah. Anyway, very cool.
I've been in New Mexico with my mom and my sister, and I've just kind of been hanging out, taking care of the dogs and the cat. And that's about it.
Yeah. And we saw Marguerite. She's staying with you. She was our ASM on Return Engagements with Robin. He was in that. So and Bob, what about you? I know, Bob, that you run. Are you been running lately? Or is that something?
I started up with a running group again.
Yeah.
But the race that I was training for got canceled or postponed again. So Rock and Roll San Diego Marathon was going to be in June, and now it's in October. So the pressure's off there. But as far as creative, just before we all shut down, I was in a production of Sweet Charity at Oceanside Theater Company that we had our opening weekend, and then it shut down.
I was there opening night, and I have to tell you, the show was good. I don't want to get into details, but there was a huge, and I think I wrote this to you, Bob. There was a huge difference when Bob came out on stage. It was like, oh, okay. He just came out and it was like, there was just this solid, there was just a huge difference when Bob came on stage. I can't really describe it, but it was just this, I don't even want to say professionalism because that sort of sounds like I'm denigrating the other actors, and it's not, but there was just a presence when he came out, and when he sang, it was just like, it was just so spot on. It was just like so right. And I was just like, yeah, it was
and
great.
my first time with the Rich Man's Brew. So dancing.
It was that was a really great number, and he was really good in it. So yeah. And last but not least, Mr. Michael Lundy, who I'm so pleased, because I know you were here, and then we were going to maybe work together, and then you went to LA, and then you've kind of, I think you're on the East Coast right now.
I was in LA for a couple months, like summer of 2019, and then I just I wanted to come back to the East Coast for a while, just take a break from California, because my family's here. I'm in Pennsylvania right now, and it's been really nice. But it's funny, I got here like right before COVID, so that was very interesting. But I am going to be back in California when things get a little safer and calm down a little bit. I miss it. I miss San Diego, and I miss Los Angeles, and but like right before COVID happened, there's this wonderful theater here in Pennsylvania. It's called the Totem Pole Playhouse. And I used to audition for them all the time in New York. And it's a great theater. And my friend is the executive producer there. And he offered me, I was going to do Max and the Sound of Music. And then I was going to do this really funny play called Love, Sex, and the IRS. So it was, I was good to go. I was like, acting job. Yes. And then chaos.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to recreate the season. They're trying to take all the shows they were going to do last year and try to do them in 2021. But everything's kind of like to be announced,
Yeah.
Like depending on the state of things. So
I feel like we're still kind of bumping into the furniture a little bit. People are trying to find their way, and just, it's like, okay, we'll get there, but we're just not there yet. It's going to be weird. So. Which leads me to my last question, which is not about Baskerville, but since I have you all here, is there something, just in theater in general, but more specifically, since you all have spent time in San Diego theater, is there something that you would change about San Diego theater, about local theater? It's like, man, if I could fix this one thing, do you have a thought on that? And if you don't, that's okay.
I wish more of it was closer to me. I'm up in Fallbrook, and the theater here was closed a while ago, and it's a long drive to get anywhere.
Yeah, you're close to just all those North County theaters. That's about it.
Yeah,
so,
and I've worked with some of them. They're good, but it's not like San Diego theater is a little bit like a little bit of a level above. But I don't know. I'm kind of a theater neophyte. I haven't been doing it that long, so I don't know that I don't have qualified opinions on what's wrong with the industry or anything. So I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah. No, and that's a fair question. I mean, that's a fair answer. I mean, so yeah. Anyone else?
Kind of like the difficulty of getting into, like, there are some theaters you can just like walk into and they're like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. And then the theaters that are doing the more interesting work, it takes, like, you got to know a guy knows a guy.
Yeah, there is a little bit of that click in some of the theaters, or at least it feels that way, Yeah, and I think a lot of that is like trust. There's a trust element. So yeah, it is hard though when you're trying to break in. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think more butterflies would
more butterflies. Right. they thought I was crazy when I said that. I was like, here's what I want. And then I love Bill, and Bill's not with us. Bill was our stage manager. Darcy was our assistant stage manager, who really, the stage manager was in different theaters. It's different ways, but sometimes the stage manager actually backstage, but for this production, they're in the booth and they're running the lights and the sound, etc. And I have to give a shout out to Steve Murdoch, who did the sound. The sound was like ridiculous because it was like a radio show. Because in fact, when he played it for me, he did it. He recorded the whole show, and then he plugged in all the sound effects. So they're actually somewhere, I think there's a recording of the show of you guys just reading it around a table, and he inserted all the sounds and all the music. So it's like it can play it as a radio play, almost. What were you gonna say, Robin?
I was just saying the sound was really good.
Yeah. I mean, and there were things that we tweaked, and I had to like really tweak the opening, but I mean, generally he just nailed it. And it was probably a pretty simple gig because he was able to record the show and then just go away, and then he just came back. Whereas a lot of times that's not the case. There's a lot of this back and forth stuff, but I digress. But a lot of times the stage manager is on stage, but you in this particular show, Darcy, were on stage, which is as an ASM, you were basically running the backstage and running the show because so much happens backstage. It's quite phenomenal what the work that just went in backstage. So I forget where I was going with that. I was mentioning you for a reason. So Michelle. Oh, go ahead, Robin.
Yay, Darcy.
Yay, Darcy. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. There was a lot of unsung heroes in the show. And Michelle, did you have anything about theater or anything?
I mean, I could talk forever about theater.
Right.
I'm excited for when we come back.
Yeah.
I think there's such a need for us to tell stories right now.
Yeah.
And such a yearning for people to be able to have sort of a collective experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the comeback, whenever it happens, will be big and beautiful, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, me too.
Amen.
Yeah, absolutely. So last thing. As I said, the last thing was the last thing, and that's not the last thing. It's the last thing. This thing. Give me a favorite line. Do you guys remember any lines from your show, from this show, from Baskerville? Give me a line. I'll start with Darcy and give you time to think. Even though Darcy's didn't deliver any lines, you must have had a favorite line. Did you have a favorite line?
Oh, I was trying to remember. Oh man. My first thought is just Russell going, like, talking to everybody and ending aisle to the end of anybody's name.
That's mine too.
Mine is anything with the word moor in it.
Oh, that's right. Yep, that's right. You had to say that a lot.
On the moor.
Right.
So much better with the text.
I think Bill actually presented us with, or me anyway, with wood-burned magnifying glasses, and on the back of it, he carved moor on mine.
That's right. Yeah, I gave you magnifying glasses too, but he carved out the ones because he made a lot of those shapes.
Bill and I were working in a place where we could do custom wood carving stuff.
Yeah. So and I'll put up a picture of this, but there's that whole set of the whole back set was just like gears and pipes and industrial sort of steampunk. Yeah. All right.
That was very cool, by the way.
Yeah,
Charles.
We were talking earlier about how I still have a bunch of the gears.
Yeah.
I liked that. I just thought, because what are you going to do as the background? I just thought it was very creative.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was kind of the challenge. In fact, I don't know if you guys know this story, and I'll pick this up, what I was asking in just a second, give you more time to think. But the original thought of doing this show, because it was proposed to do this show, and there was a lot of, I'm on the play reading committee at Scripps, and there was a lot of like, well, there's no way we can do that. There's no way we can do that show. And I was like, we're in theater. That's what we do. We create the impossible. We make that possible. That's what we're here for, is to do that. We will figure out a way to do it. And I was pretty impassioned, when I talked about it at the meeting, and I was like, well, of course we can. And then I called Jill, who is our artistic director, Jill Drexler, and we talked on the phone, and I go, can you believe that? Can you believe that they were like, saying no to that just because of that? And then she called me later and she goes, do you want to direct it? And I go, yes, absolutely. So yeah, because I was like, of course we can. I don't know how, but of course you can figure out how to do that. So, and just slowly you figure it out. But, it's like, what? I have to give shout out to my wife, Jen, who came up with the idea of the bed, like you being in bed.
The stand-up bed.
How can I freaking have him in bed? He's got to be in bed and have the sheet. And we had you lean against the wall, stand up against the wall with a sheet, and then you were like, got out of bed. And it's like, totally worked, so yeah, it's great. All right, Michael, do you have a favorite line?
Just the Beryl. I really have to. I can think of so many great scenes, but that was too much. That was good stuff.
So funny.
I know, boring choice, but it was my favorite.
Right. I forgot about Moore.
Moore, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Robin, you're up. You have a favorite line?
I don't think I ever had to say more.
Yeah. Well, not like Sir Henry, because Sir Henry had that Texas accent,
God, I don't know. I like just about every scene that I was on with you, Michael. Just like when there was the two of us, usually worked really well, and that felt like such classic Holmes. Maybe the early summation about the walking stick.
Right.
Holmes has a lot of speech memorized, but that was the most fun one to give.
Yeah.
And to like hear your take on it and then shoot you down.
That was good.
I had a lot of fun choreographing my, walking stick fight, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Waving the stick around.
Yeah.
That speech was a lot of fun, but just all of our interactions.
Yeah. And getting you to do your arm straight up.
Michelle said paper babies. That was good. Paper babies.
What's that?
When Michelle said paper babies.
Yes. You actually lost it a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah. It was hard to look at her. It was really like once we got to Baskerville and like her and Russell, I was like, I can't.
The whole Baskerville thing has such a Frau Blucher, young Frankenstein feel to it. That's not taking anything away from like your performances or saying they're like that, because they weren't, but it had that feel of just like, oh my gosh, it was just so much. Yeah, I forget about half the stuff that's in this show. All right, and Michelle, you're up. You have a favorite line? Paper babies. I forgot about paper babies.
I had totally forgotten about that. That was a great line, but that was being a scene partner to Russell was so hard. Russell just like brought so much and so much comedy that it's like, okay, well, this is the level Russell's at, so I need to get somewhere close to that,
right?
To get on the same level as him. But for a favorite line, this is not really a line in the show, but I got to do the curtain speech at the beginning. And one of the things that we do at Scripps is that you get to thank the donors that are in the house that particular night. And we in the dressing room spent a lot of time and love thinking about whoever was in the house that night. And so I think I'm not going to name a specific person because that's not fair, but I would have to say that whoever the donor was that night, it was my favorite line.
Okay. Very funny.
We latched on to one name and we're like, oh, we love this person.
And what about you, Mr. Russell?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, shout out to paper babies. Shout out to that person. Yeah. Mr. Holmes played a Castilian desk clerk. Like that was fun. Anyone who's actually from Castile, lo siento, because or like what is this? Also, like I gotta give a shout out, like to the moment where Holmes is saying like where we're playing the irregulars, and he's all like, go to the berry moles. We're standing there. The berry moles, and we're like, oh, and we run off stage.
Right. Yeah. There's so many moments. I mean, I think with me, if you just read the script, you'll go, oh, well, there's really not anything in here. And for me, I was like, what can I add to this? What can I put in? I need more. There needs to be more in here. I need to throw more. So that's where the hats came from and stuff. And I had a bunch of other stuff that we didn't do. Like, there were supposed to be, oh yeah, you had the whole cardboard. Had a whole cardboard cutout thing for when you came out as in the end, the black and white. I mean, and there was the whole teacup thing when Beryl and Stapleton, right? Wasn't that your last name? Is Beryl and Sir Henry meet, and we had that long moment where Michael, you were going to go get a cup of tea and come back, and then you were going to put it away, and it's just like I can't do it. It's too long. It's too long. They're not going to get it. 2 people in the audience will get that joke. Never mind. So yeah, it's funny. But yeah, it's just so much. But it's not there on paper, which was so much fun to play. And then be able to have an idea and not have it go, well, have people go, well, I don't know, just have it go, okay, let's do that. Let's try it, So that made it fun. Yeah.
I also love the part when Watson's giving like a monologue, and Sir Henry like walks up, is like, "Who you're talking to?" Like,
right.
So
yeah. And then they ended on like looking at Baskerville Hall. What's that?
I like at the top of Act 2 when you were the Scottish doctor and Michelle was the nurse. Right at the top of Act 2, that was funny too.
Oh yeah.
That whole bit.
Yes.
That was good.
Yeah. Crazy.
I liked Holmes like describing the Castilian desk clerk and like getting into the details, and Russell having to like change his persona with each description, and then he ends with, and he's a Castilian.
Right. Oh, good
Very
stuff.
fun. Oh, wonderful. Well, I have to say this has been absolutely amazing. First of all, that we could all be here and just reminiscing about the show and your experiences. Thank you so much. I'm going to run through some names again. We have Darcy Harman, who is our ASM, our backstage hero. And of course, we have Russell Clements, actor 1, right? And Stapleton and everybody else. And Michelle Marie Trester, who was Beryl, and of course, actress 1 and played 13 different roles. Robin Thompson is Sherlock Holmes. Bob Himlin, of course, is actor 2, and Sir Henry, and Michael Lundy is Watson, and there's Sherlock, right? And so this has been Stage Perspective, talking about the show Baskerville, a Ken Ludwig comedy. And how many of you noticed in the poster the dog in his eye? Did you guys notice that? You guys all see that?
I did.
Yeah. He was very clever to put
I'll have to look.
Look at the posters, and actually a little dog in Robin's eye. So yeah, and there's something on his nose, like a clue or something, because his clue's right in front of his nose. He can't see it. So stuff like that. That was the idea of the poster.
That took me a minute because I was like, that looks like a mustache. What is that?
Right.
I read it.
Yep. Very funny. So, well, I'm thrilled. It's been great. I don't even remember how long ago this show was. When did we do this show? Was it 3 years? Thank you, Darcy, for knowing that. What's that? No, Darcy said 3, right? 2018. So it's March.
It was Baskerville in 2018. Return Engagements 29 or
there was nothing last year.
Yes. 2019 and Italian American Reconciliation 2020.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on. My name is Charles Peters. This has been Stage Perspective. If you like this, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and check out some of our other videos here. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.